or not. The presidential election of 2016 is one that will always be remembered. Now, something in Trump's campaign that he constantly pushed towards was the construction of a U.S.-Mexico border wall, and this led to many discussions and debates to be held. Now, Mexico and the U.S. are two countries that have had long-standing border issues concerning the illegal immigration that comes along with that border. Now, the main reason that Mexican immigrants actually decide to migrate to the U.S. is because of poverty and the lack of job opportunities in Mexico. President Bill Clinton actually ordered the first construction of the border wall in 1993. Now, in this picture, you can see that the U.S. side of the border is on the left, Mexico is on the right, and 650 miles of the already current 1,900-mile-long border has already been fenced off. And Donald Trump just wants to continue that construction. It is true that the U.S. should do something to prevent illegal immigration from occurring, but creating Trump's border wall will not solve immigration problems between the two countries. Now, one immigration problem that does occur at the border is drug smuggling. To say that there is only one way of getting illegal materials across the border is an assumption that is completely false, because there are many ways to do so. Mexican cartels have actually been known to manage to get drugs across the border by using things like catapults, hang gliders, underground tunnels, and submarines. Now, this drug smuggling is also not always done through an illegal manner. This is because it's usually done through legal ports of entry, like airports, shipping terminals, or border crossings. Now, some individuals in the U.S. tend to believe that Mexican immigrants steal jobs away from the U.S. citizens. In the 1990s, there was a dramatic difference in percent increase between Mexican immigrants and U.S. citizens in the workforce. For Mexican immigrants, this was a 123% increase, and U.S. citizens, it was 13%. Now, because of this difference, that was obviously very dramatic, the U.S. citizens started to complain that these Mexican immigrants were taking jobs away from them. However, Mexican immigrants actually do fill really important roles in the U.S. labor force that benefit the economy and don't hurt it. These roles include things like heavy construction work or house cleaning, both jobs that not most people want to do anyways. And if they aren't doing these jobs, then these jobs may or may not get done, or may not get done as efficiently as they may be now. Some people tend to think that there's only one way to enforce border control, but again, that's not true, because there are other options available. While the U.S. and Mexico already share somewhat of a physical border wall, a virtual border wall is also present, and it's monitored by things like cameras, thermal sensors, x-rays, and border agents. And with the 21st century being a very technological society, this virtual border wall is likely to keep improving by the minute. A specific example would be surveillance drones. It has both benefits and drawbacks, and as for benefits, you'd be able to see the exact occurrence, see who was involved, when, and where it happened. In 2013, 3 drones around the Tucson area were actually credited with being able to detain about 2,200 people that were crossing the border illegally. They would also be somewhat hidden because of the fact that they're in the air and not most people would notice that they were there. For drawbacks, surveillance drones obviously can't physically stop people from coming into the country. And there would also be weather and maintenance problems that could occur. For example, there are already 9 drones currently in use, and they are in fact grounded much of the time because of problems in weather or maintenance. Now, illegal immigration is a pressing problem that both the U.S. and Mexico do need to address together, but simply constructing a border wall will not solve any of these immigration problems. And an individual must realize that a wall is not the best or only solution out there. And China's history will tell us the exact same thing. Here's my work.
Okay, let's give her a hand. Okay, so my question for you is, where did you feel like you found the best research? Like where, not just on the databases, but was there a particular source out there that provided the most credible stuff for you?
I mean, it was pretty spread out. Like, I had a lot of different sources that I used, where I got like bits and pieces from each of them. But maybe on like the drug smuggling thing, it was a video I watched. That was like my video source that I used, and it talked a lot about like the whole fact that it's always done through legal ports of entry, and I think that really added to my presentation.
Good. Do you guys have any questions for Stephanie? Okay, awesome.
What do you think the future of this immigration issue, this border issue, is going to be if it's not the wall? Do you think drones will solve the problem? I'm just curious.
I mean, it's not just drones. That was like my one specific example of it. But I think, for example, there was also something I found in research about underground, like
The
a
tunnel.
Trump's border wall would be both underground too, to stop like underground tunnels. And I think that could help, but I didn't include that in this. And again, just like more technology.
Are there cameras at border crossings now where there aren't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Jackson?
So the places where there isn't a wall or fence or whatever,
Or a river?
is there places on the border where there's just nothing,
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
or something that's easily you could jump
Mm,
over or something?
I don't think any of it's easy.
Yeah. It's not.
Because
easy.
sometimes there's a canyon there, like a mountain, because of the natural border
Yeah,
that's
the
created,
river
or the
is really
river.
hot.
Like, have you ever been to
Most-
Big Bend National Park? They'll say, don't go to the other side of the river, it is Mexico. And the other side of the river is like a cliff, straight up.
Most
Okay,
people that try and like illegally do that end up dying.
Well, okay, so I've seen like some stuff where a rancher has a place and he'll just have like a barbed wire fence or
Right.
something, and it's just a river, and those people are pretty desperate. So if I was that desperate, I'd probably risk my life to get over. But would
Good
you
concession.
say that if we did have a wall there, would it help in that specific areas where it's mainly where they would come because they know it's not as heavily?
I mean, but if the wall's there, then they'll find other ways, like going through boat
tunnel.
or going through tunnel. Yeah.
I don't know how many tunnels they found, but they are like miles and miles long.
Yeah.
But why would you not want to cancel out one of the options that they have of getting into the country?
Yeah, because the wall wouldn't
Well,
necessarily.
that's what I'm saying. it
Perhaps
won't
about the
solve
expense
all-
of it. That
Well,
might be.
That was
The
one of
expense is
big
the
things.
biggest thing,
Yeah.
I think, but like if there was no, like if we could do this, like
If we had all the money in the world,
I feel like it'd be a checklist
Don't worry
of
about
like
it, you're
to
okay.
have it, you know? Like just that, because then it'd
Yeah,
be one
okay.
other way of them.
Yeah.
so that's Jackson's opinion. You got another question here?
Yeah, did
Oh,
you
I
read
was-
any
I was gonna
accounts
ask
of endangered animals jumping through holes?
I actually did find information about something to do with endangered animals. Or like, well, not endangered animals, but animals. Or like if we did create this border wall, it would take away property. Actually, eminent domain was a big thing that would occur.
Oh, yeah.
And then also it would affect the environment, like the animals that live around there.
That don't understand a border and just
Yeah.
like cross.
So there
instead.
is holes in the wall, like I said.
Did you
Not
see the
literal
wall?
hole.
You can't